Outed by a tabloid, grieving his father, and losing a relationship, Chaz Bono was thrust into the spotlight from a young age, but behind his affable persona, his life has been marked by tragedy. Growing up, Chaz Bono had a complicated relationship with his father, singer-turned-politician Sonny Bono. Surprisingly, Sonny was much more accepting than Cher when Chaz came out as a kid. Despite Cher being a vocal ally of the LGBTQ+ community, Chaz told Oprah, "I wanted to be just like him, so any parent is going to love that."
You know what it says on your shirt? What's it say?
But the relationship between father and son soon fell apart. As Cher explained to Vanity Fair in 2010, Sonny was a good father as long as his kids towed the line. She said, "Chaz had a dad for a long time. Sonny was a great parent for a young child, even like 12, 13. But the moment you had ideas that were contrary, he was not quite as interested." As a Republican congressman, Sonny voted against marriage equality, leading to a rift with his son. Chaz told The Advocate in 1998, "I took it very personally. It put a tremendous amount of distance between us." From a young age, Bono felt like an outsider. He was born female, which made him feel incredibly uncomfortable. He told ABC News, "My 7th and 8th grade year was a particularly hellacious year for me, puberty, and I was at a school that just wasn't appropriate for my needs. It was just very straight, strict academic school."
I mean, when I was really little, it was very clear to me that I felt like a boy.
In his book, Family Outing, Bono recalled his mother being aghast when he said that he wanted to wear traditional boys' clothing rather than feminine attire. Considering the prejudice he faced within his own family, he felt far from ready to come out. But in 1990, Bono, who hadn't yet come out as transgender, was outed as gay by the tabloid Star. At the time, he was terrified of his identity being made public out of fear that it would hinder his career prospects. This made the public outing all the more hurtful. Suddenly, he saw his face all over the tabloids, something he found traumatic. He told Vanity Fair in 1998, "It was the most difficult thing that had happened to me. I have since dealt with things that have been more difficult. I think any gay person knows what it feels like. You can imagine what it's like when the whole world finds out before you're ready. It was very overwhelming." In 1998, Sonny Bono went missing during a family skiing excursion to South Lake Tahoe, California. During his trip, he had flouted a number of skiing regulations and refused to wear a helmet, though he assured his wife, Mary Bono, that he would wear head protection during their next skiing trip. He was found dead 3 days later, having crashed into a tree and suffered massive head injuries. He was 62.
Congressman Sonny Bono was fatally injured in a skiing accident.
Losing a father was all the more painful for Chaz due to their unresolved conflict. Mary, Sonny's widow, told the Reno Gazette-Journal, "It was extremely hard on Chaz. You've probably read that Chaz and Sonny were estranged at the time over politics. That's the lesson everyone needs to heed. This not to speak to each other over a silly difference. I think it's much harder on Chaz because of that." Speaking to CNN following his father's death, Chaz said that the traumatic experience made him reluctant to discuss politics with his family going forward. In 2015, Chaz was able to channel his sorrow through his work. Appearing on stage, he used his relationship with Sonny as inspiration for his performance as a father in Proof. He told People magazine, "We all pull from different places, and I pulled a few things from my dad's personality that I think work well. I remember our close relationship from the other side, and I tried to flip it a little bit to find the specialness of it from a father's perspective." In 2009, Bono came out as a trans man. Although famous for being a queer icon, Cher revealed it wasn't easy to accept Chaz Bono at first. In 2023, she admitted to the Los Angeles Times that her inability to accept her son from the outset was incongruous with her status as an LGBTQ+ champion. She told the publication, "That was difficult for me. It shouldn't have been because, I've had gay friends forever. I just met some beautiful trans chicks and we have an affinity. Now I'm totally fine. But it's hard to lose one child to get a new one, especially so late." Bono didn't judge his mother for her initial reservations about his transition, telling Oprah that he understood why it might have been difficult for her. He said, "You have this expectation of your baby girl and how that's going to be, and I didn't act anything like she probably imagined."
Were there conflicts?
Yeah, there were conflicts.
Mother and son went to counseling together, but things got progressively worse between them. They didn't speak for months until Cher finally got in touch after her boyfriend begged her to do so. Now, Cher embraces her son's transgender identity, telling CNN that she soon realized how much happier Chaz became after living as his authentic self.
You have one child, but you don't really lose them. They just are in a different shape.
In 2011, Bono was happier than ever and living his best life after coming out, but some sought to put a damper on his trans joy. The controversial tabloid National Enquirer, which built a reputation on salacious and false headlines long before the term fake news entered the cultural lexicon, published a cruel story claiming that Bono would be dead in 4 years. The story, entitled Chaz Bono Only 4 Years to Live, Liver Damage Agony, attempted to draw a parallel between Bono's gender-affirming care and an untimely death, something that he found deeply hurtful. Accordingly, his legal team issued a cease and desist. In a filing, his lawyer wrote, "This is absolutely outrageous, false, fabricated, and highly defamatory. The salacious and inflammatory headline and article were crafted for the malicious purpose of discriminating against our client's gender and sexual orientation." The outlet interviewed an apparent doctor, Patrick Wanis, who claimed that testosterone and a supposed risk of suicidal ideation meant that Bono wouldn't live for very long. The following year, the tabloid continued to publish fallacious stories about Bono, claiming that he was feuding with his mom over a recent breakup. Bono confirmed to blogger Cher News that the story was false. Following his father's death in 1998, Bono struggled with substance abuse. He became so unwell that his addiction issues led to liver failure. He told Oprah, "Getting sober was like the first step toward anything because you can't do anything when you're in that state." In her 2010 interview with Vanity Fair, Cher reflected on her family history of trauma and addiction, which has extended to her children. Despite substance use being normalized to an extent to the singer, she still found it difficult to cope with her son's issues. She said in the interview, "It's weird because both of my children had the same drug problems as their fathers. Same drug of choice. My father was a heroin addict, and my sister's father was an alcoholic, but it jumped us." In an interview with Time, Bono said that a desire to come out propelled him to get sober. After entering a recovery program in 2004, Bono decided to take the next step toward prioritizing his well-being. The star has also lived with an eating disorder. As he told the Daily Beast in 2013, he ended up replacing drugs and alcohol with food, the only thing that gave him happiness at his lowest point. Seeking the help of a specialist, Bono was able to address his underlying issues.
The message of, recovery is possible is an important message to let people know.
Bono and his fiancée, Jennifer Elia, had some difficulties during the early days of the former's transition. During this period, Elia was struggling with substance abuse and stopped sharing a bed with Bono. Elia told the Daily Beast, "I felt that his machismo had sort of spiked. He was quicker-tempered, and coupled with the fact that I was in grad school, writing a 150-page thesis and had relapsed on alcohol, things got very tense." Although Elia told Oprah in 2011 that she had no intention of breaking up with Bono despite the couple's difficulties, the pair did call off their engagement that year. They had been together for 6 years. Speaking to HuffPost, a friend divulged that Bono and Elia both had trauma due to their shared experiences of substance abuse, which partly contributed to the split. The friend told the publication, "Chaz has been living in the guest house for some time now. Both of them had been in therapy to try and save this relationship, but in the end, it became clear to both Chaz and Elia that this wasn't going to work." Since then, Bono has met a new lady love, Shara Blue Mathis, and news of their engagement was announced in 2024. In Touch reported that Bono had banned his mother from attending his wedding, as he supposedly didn't want her causing drama. Cher was allegedly devastated by her son's snub. From a young age, Bono battled internalized transphobia. As he explained in his 2011 memoir, Transition, the story of how I became a man, he long believed that there was something abnormal about him. He wrote, "I grew up in a society of rigid gender roles and had the same distance and lack of understanding about what being transgender really means. For years, I felt that secret lurking within me with thoughts such as, trans people aren't normal. How could they be?" In time, Bono embraced his authentic self, but he found that other people weren't so accepting. It's this prejudice that prevented him from coming out for many years, as he was terrified of being hounded by the tabloids. In 2011, Cher defended her son when he was subjected to online hate after being cast in Dancing with the Stars. That year, Chelsea Handler was criticized for making a series of offensive transphobic jokes about Bono. He was also dead-named, which is extremely harmful for trans people. For instance, his 2011 profile with Oprah, though well-meaning, repeatedly referred to him by his dead name and also used female pronouns in the beginning. But Bono is determined to counter prejudice whenever he sees it. Much like Euphoria star Hunter Schafer, who has said that she no longer wants to play transgender characters, Chaz has made a concerted effort to take on cisgender roles as a means of normalizing seeing trans folks on screen. Much like Chaz Bono, Cher's son, Elijah Blue Allman, has also dealt with tragedy. Cher has been estranged from her younger son for quite some time, blaming this on his alleged ongoing struggle with addiction. Cher's relationship with Elijah Blue Allman may be sad, but he has always been able to turn to his big brother when in need. Cher told Vanity Fair in 2010, "The moment Elijah gets in trouble, he runs to Chaz. He just hightails his ass right there." At some point, however, the siblings' relationship appeared to sour. Speaking to Entertainment Tonight, Allman discussed feeling like an outcast as a child and revealed that he had drifted apart from his brother. In 2024, Cher requested a temporary conservatorship over Allman due to his apparent issues with substance abuse and mental illness, though this was denied. Bono ended up being dragged into the legal battle, with Allman demanding that his brother be questioned under oath. Allman's wife, Marie Angela King, claimed that both Cher and Bono were contributing to his mental health issues and had engaged in abusive behavior. She said in court, "I believe that people in Elijah's family are emotional triggers for him. I've witnessed and experienced abusive behavior coming mostly from Elijah's mother, the petitioner herein, but also from his siblings, Chaz and Devon." Cher dropped her conservatorship bid in September 2024.